here's something that I'd like to be honest about it, and it gets back to like coping mechanisms. I get to these fantasies in my head about what I'm gonna do, how I'm gonna do it, and all, and they uh, they take over. But I listen to music that make them take over because I'm trying to convince myself, and these are just little things that you might see in someone you love. Uh, I think the point is that when I get to that point and it's too close, there's this part of my brain that clicks and is like, you need help now, right now, do it now, and I do, and that helps, and that voice was put there because it's still trying to figure out what it can do to help me. Um, I realize that the way I think, like when I go in, I'm desperate and I give them my all and this and that and the other. And as soon as they deceive me, I feel deceit. I'm done with them and I start logically thinking again. It's a survival mechanism of how can I get out of here. It's always trying to get a way out, trying to leave, to be able to leave, um, to get out of that situation. So what I would do is my brain would be like, okay, you're fine. And no matter what was happening, right? That's what it did. So with group and all, what I was trying to get to is like, I would do group and I would try and be honest, and you would sit there looking at people. So you wanted to be a better person. You wanted it to come out better than what it really was. So you can protect yourself from yourself. For me. And I think I realized that. So I was being honest, but I may have just sugarcoated it a little bit, and that's human nature. Excuse me. Like we have to realize that those are involuntary things for people to survive. And my brain goes so far back, right? So my thought is, it's just crazy, and this is all this is my thought, right? So I'm just gonna put it out there. My thought is that these other discoveries of species that were here longer than us, we call them primitive or whatever, they survived longer than us, I believe. A lot of them. And the only reason they didn't survive was because of their climate changed. And their bones had to get, lighter, and we had to go places that we couldn't before. We got to go places we couldn't before, because we explored and probably got kicked out of our village because we were loons. Because, every village tries to have a structure to where somebody has something to do, and we lost that. It's just fend for yourself, survival of the fittest, and all those old studies, you got to understand, they're old. There's been new studies about the psychological effects of them, and like I said, some people can get over that, and that's okay. I'm happy for you. I really am. I just can't show it because I can't get over it. Things that are set up to purposely manipulate, and people that it works for get so used to it that they don't see it, and they blame that they get told to blame the ones that have no power. And then the ones that have no power are so anxious and starving and struggling and just trying to make it, and with bad information. I started slipping and getting mad, like to where uncontrollable, where it was just like debilitatingly bad. I couldn't reason no more with myself. When I started hearing the English language change on television, Uh, like I said, I write and I read. I used to write and read a lot. And the way you present words is very powerful, and it's dangerous. Very dangerous. And they know this. They know this and they use this. And that's why it's important. You gotta strip away everything you know, right? Everything you've been told, and just look at yourself as a human being. Someone that's only been here maybe 300,000 years. That's not long, guys. It's not long at all. And the earth is changing. We keep saying that earth is going to end. No, it won't. This planet will still be here. It'll be us. And that's how far back my brain goes, right? And so that panics me. And I'm not telling you to change your mind. I'm just trying to explain why my mind goes so berserk and it don't understand. I'm not trying to apologize. I want to understand why it does this and nobody else can see what I see. It makes you go insane to see something tangible. And these articles that I read, these articles, some of them go back to 1919 about what's happening right now, or 1920 or 21, something like that. And they knew this then, so they started changing the language then. Don't think this wasn't because of greed or power. I don't need power or money. I mean, I do to live, but at least money, but I don't want it. When I had it and I was making good money, I spent it so fast. But I did do the priorities, right? I knew enough. I'd had so little, and I understood how the system worked just enough to secure me a home and a vehicle. I kept it together just long enough. And just like with my child, something I wanted so much, I became so afraid what could happen to him that I got so caught up in it, and I overprotected. And I'm happy, kind of, because things don't have to happen to children that do. And I hope that what I did don't affect him as much as what happened to me. They're way different. Not saying that it don't affect some, but it was my sickness that did it, to try and protect him. And I want you to understand that when you're in these states of mind, even when you don't think about it and you think you're the norm, right? And there's no such thing. There's no such norm. There's just usually one who dominates another, because the other is just like, so what? I don't need that. I don't want to compete. I'm not a competitor, and when I am, I'm nasty. I don't want to be a competitor. I quit being a competitor. It was a choice. I didn't have fun at it no more. It was starting to get mean. That's why I quit sports and all that. I was decent at that too, and if I could have learned right, I could have went to college on scholarships, a pharmaceutical school, you know, or oceanography. My God, like I said, I was a weird ghetto kid. My favorite thing in the world, my heroes, were Jacques Cousteau and Carl Sagan. How many ghetto kids say that? But I was lucky to have a mom that let me explore that and everything, that all the questions I had. And I think her mind was racing too, and a lot of things didn't add up to her either. And she was a good person too. And when you're a good person, or just everybody's a good person, man. We're told, like, you take a baby, and a baby's gonna stay and try. And a baby that has, like, can't talk and can't whatever, they can sense, right? They can sense when you're anxious. They can sense when something just isn't right about their fear from something else, because they have no input. So it's all just sensory things. They don't go to the mean thing unless they're trained to, and that's the only way they can get it. So don't think you're not damaging something or someone or by things that you're doing because you were told that that's the way it was supposed to be. I don't know. Trying not to make it a lecture. Just trying to say what affected me and made my brain sick and why my brain's so confused. Anybody knows me, I'll help anybody. I don't care. I don't care if I don't have much of what I'm going to share with them. Even if it's what I really, really want. And I started not caring about that. I started... Here's one, right? When I came back from Katrina and I waited 5 days because in my mind, I was safe. My father was safe. My friend Raymond and my son and my dog, we were all safe, right? Not the goldfish. And maybe a turtle, maybe. And in my mind, when all that happened, they were like, oh, you got to go back. And I'm like, no, we got to give it days. We got to give it a week. We got to make sure the people that need to get in and out can get in and out. We don't need to be there. Like, there's no reason for us to go there. And that's how I think. So when I don't call people, it's because I don't have a job. And I don't want to interfere and interrupt you because you do or whatever. I don't know what I'm interrupting in your life, and I don't want to do that. I don't know how to explain it. And I do miss that I call you and I don't call you, but it's you'll get to understand that this isn't just happening to me. I know it isn't. I see it. I see it everywhere. I see it in other people that I knew, that I know, that I love, that have gone. I just want to say something to everybody and let them know. Drop all that. Drop it. Find out who you are and let that be okay. And let others live their life. You know? That's why I say I don't care if you do drugs. It's just a tool we're using and we're abusing it, right? Like the alcoholism. It was just a tool. It was a tool I misused because I didn't know how. Same thing with every other drug right now that everybody's doing. It's a tool they're misusing. Quit putting a stigmatism on it, you know? They're adults trying to live a life that's hard. Stop judging them and looking down on them for things that they can't control. It makes me so mad. Started to be one of them people. And then I started going places to do things with people. And because I tried to force myself to try and be happy again and get out in public, and they would, they would encourage it. And it's good on them because they know how volatile I was, and that's a sacrifice to them. And I know this. And so I really did try to be on my best behavior. And I couldn't. There's only small things I can control, and some points in my life it was just a 12-pack, or that's all, because that's all that I could control, and it stopped some of the voices sometimes, not all the time, but maybe just enough to get a little bit of sleep. People think I'm lying. I'll stay up for 3 days, nothing, just ideas running in my head. You can't live like that, because the brain can't process correctly. So my brain got screwed up somewhere, right? And I got to get it back in sync. And I don't know how. And I don't think anybody else does. You're just using a tool, and it's okay. You just got to slack up a little bit. You're hurting yourself. Just do it a little bit at a time. Just enough to cope instead of bury yourself. I've buried myself for too long. Even when I did quit drinking, I buried myself. And I say quit drinking, I learned how to drink, right? I ain't quit. I maybe drink 5 times, 6 times a year. And that's awesome. I just don't do it to try and sleep anymore or try and quiet the voices anymore. And I'm glad that I let it have a chance. It's important that you do. And that's why I say you have to forgive yourself for using these tools, because you didn't know how to use them. That's all, because they were labels put on them and stigmatisms put on them. And so when you got them, you misused them. And that's okay. It's okay. That's what I want to let you know. It's okay. You misused them. And so you have to forgive yourself for the things you did when you did them, right? Because that's when that's when it clicks. That's when stuff starts happening, right? When you can take just a little bit at a time and process it, instead of do it all at once to bury it. We're just misusing the tools we have because people told us they were wrong. And that's just their opinion. If you use something right and you use it too much, you use it wrong. And that's anything, like anything you eat. You could have your sugar and what have you. You could have that or this, but we put things, labels, and categories that people are supposed to fit in. And people think they do, but they don't. You really don't, because something's wrong with you right now. You're mad at people that have no power, just like I was. To you incels out there, dude, I've had more unadulterated things in my life, and that was a tool for me too. So it's okay. Go pay for it. There's no shame in it if you're two adults. Quit putting stigmatism on stuff that tools that people use. Natural behaviors that happen in nature that balances people. Not all people. And that's okay. Don't do it. Don't do it. But don't make it to where someone else has shame because they do and they enjoy it and it feels good. Because then they misuse it and they hurt other people, human beings, that are told that it's not right. And you don't know. It's not right for you. Back the heck up, man. It's not right for you. It's not me to judge anyone. Stop, man. Stop. I don't understand why we do this to ourselves, and we're doing it to ourselves because we're not stupid. We didn't get here to be stupid. Oh, the education's dropping, this is dropping. And that's true. By the time my son was in 11th grade, I knew more with him with an 8th grade education, and not from life experience. I'm just talking about things that I learned that he didn't get a chance to even discover or look at unless I brought it up or gave him information. You know, he'd had enough of school, but, you know, I'd still force information down his throat, and that was wrong too. Give too much information. I didn't tell him, oh, don't touch that. You know, I was like, you hit that, you put that in that light socket, you're going to die, dude. And maybe that's not right either. But I was lied to so much in my life that I try to be honest. Because lies get nowhere. Nowhere but trouble and anxiousness. And did I get it right? I can't get the god dang on day right of what actually happens sometimes. Then make up what did. Let's be real humans and strip all that away and take a deep breath. You know, we're losing it, all of us. No one's better than no one. We just are different. I'm happy back here in the woods. I just feel like a burden that I'm not doing anything. And I don't have money to get what I need, like teeth and glasses and a doctor if I want it. But people with doctors can't even go see them because they can't afford a deductible, right? That's another thing. There's so many things that we make up to make life hard. And we don't have to. I'm just here to tell you, it really messes people up. And it starts when they're little. It starts when they're little kids. And you reach out when you're a little kid and you don't know how to say it because your brain don't understand it. And some of those kids get stuck right there. Right there at that moment. And they can't get past that moment. Until they can get past that moment, you can't grow. You can't understand what happened to you. You can't understand why things don't match up. And it's just because of people and wanting power. And they're sick too. You know, that's what you gotta, they're sick too. I forgive them too. I don't blame them for their illness that says that it works for them. You know, it just don't work for me. I'm not blaming nobody. I'm blaming people. I'm not even blaming people. I'm blaming the idea that think that we would protect institutions and what people would think about this institution and the face of children and what happens to them. It's everywhere, man. Ain't nobody happy. Just, I want you to realize why you're really angry. And hopefully you can quit flailing like I was and grasping and desperate and finally all this obsession over watching everything and everybody. And I'm glad that my mind finally gave everybody else a chance that I was so angry at and made me look at that. And you need to open that up in your mind too, you know? Nobody can control what happens to them and how they react to it, because it's going to be different for everyone. Everything reacts different. Some plants can take the poison. Some plants can't. We're no different than them plants. Sometimes it just takes the poison a little bit longer to get to you. And before you realize it, you're sick. And you can't get better. And there's no help for you out there. Because no one's telling you the truth about what's really happening to them, because it's so humiliating because we made it that way, because we said it was. And we got to understand that now. No reason to keep doing this. Man, I love you all. And I do mean that. Like, you don't understand. I really do. Like, I don't know how to explain it. There's a plaque on my wall by a very, just a very good person. I know she is. She just didn't know how to be. And it says, let me see if I get it right. Let's see if I get it right. Oh my, what does the plaque say? I look at it every day just to remind myself. Because I know that's for everybody. It says, I love you today more than yesterday. Because yesterday I was mad at you or something. Something like that. I'll get it right. I'll read it. And I'll say it right because it's beautiful. It's true. It's true for every one of us. Just got to give each other some space and time and to look at it at ourselves. I know it could work. I know we can understand and live together again. Just because we're different, and people like me don't have to try and conform and not be who they really are, because it's debilitating to us. It's confusing to our brain, and the brain runs everything in your body. Everything. The brain runs that. And it's only information we give it that it could use to help us. And it helps. It does that on its own. That's how we got where we are today. We use way more than 10% of our brain, guys. That was an old saying. We use way more. So just hang in there. Hang on. We're learning. And hopefully I can put this out here and be honest and show how hard it is. The ugly parts that everybody's ashamed of because somebody gave it a title or a name or put it in a box or a category. They asked me on YouTube, what do you consider yourself? Male, female, non-binary, if you ever. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know if there is a name for it. I don't know if there ever was a name for it. I call it human, a human being. And that's what our species does, is we go out and we discover who we are. We're trying to stifle that for some people. It's not right. It confuses and it hurts and it destroys our whole life and the people around us. Don't think you're not touched. When, those people have families. Families that love them. Those people have children. Things that they bore and gave birth to. They're just human beings too. And that's the whole point of this human experiment that's happening, this grace that we get to be here, and we're throwing it away. Just want to let you know where my confusion comes in, and maybe it'll help you figure out yours, because it's not going to be the same as mine. I understand that, and that's okay. I can accept that. Because if you're honest with me, I can accept honesty, because I may jump up and down and flail and oh my God, how? But I sit back, and when I go home and all the shock and awe is over with, and I try and think about it. And try and put myself where they are. And that's hard sometimes, because you don't know sometimes. You've never been there. But I try. I don't want everybody else to try. Just love yourself, man. Love yourself.